Welcome to the City Church Stories. Today we have the privilege of hearing from Robert and Tammy Ochoa.
Hey
we are
guys.
so excited to have you with us.
Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
She grew up in San Jose. I grew up in Los Angeles, 10 minutes from downtown. So completely different lives when you say, from opposite sides of the tracks. She grew up, with all her family, and they all went to college and whatnot. And my mom was a single mom, me and my sister, and food assistance from the government and whatnot. So really, really rough. So really polar opposites. And we met here in Phoenix, which was, kind of ironic. We found the happy medium and completely in love.
Did you guys grow up knowing Jesus? How was your church background or your background knowing about God?
I was raised in the Catholic Church and to catechism and all throughout my high school years with my family. We all went together. So I was introduced to the Lord at a young age.
Got it.
And just very blessed.
That's amazing.
How did you meet the Lord?
Again, completely opposite. I never went to church. I never went to church with my mom. I always believed in God because I would pray on my own and was always happy about it and loved it, but very ignorant to Bible verses and the actual Bible and whatnot. But always very spiritual. And I've always believed, always.
Cool.
Yeah.
And tell us, how did you guys meet?
We met at massage therapy school.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a senior in the class. She was a freshman coming in, and went into her class and offered to help. And I offered my notes because I always sat in the front row center every class. Well, a couple days later, she came and asked me. She had a final coming up. Asked me for my notes. She took it, and a few days later, she came back and very happily down the hallway, and I passed. I passed. I got a good grade, and she went to give me a hug, and she gave me a kiss on my cheek, and I was like taken aback because I thought she was very beautiful, but I thought I was like a lot older than her. Turns out we were the same age. I'm a little bit older than her, but that kind of changed everything. If I can, I'll tell you a quick story. We were in the lunchroom, and I was standing waiting in line to heat up my food, and I seen her walking up, and I was thinking, be smooth, be cool, say something, say something
Come
really
on,
cool.
gotta have it going on.
Come on,
Gotta
don't
have it
fail me
going
now.
on.
Don't fail me now, And as she walked up, she said, hey, and the only thing I could think of was, I love your height. And she what? So I've never heard that before, and it wasn't like a pickup line or come on line. I really did, and I thought she was beautiful. And I said, "You want to sit and have lunch together?" And that's how it started. But
Okay.
So now I tell my kids and everybody, best pickup line ever.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. I love your height.
I love your height. So before we talk into even City Church, you had a medical procedure that was pretty significant.
3.5 years ago, I had a heart transplant.
Wow.
And everything went well. It was a rough journey. And when they first told us, it was interesting, they said, you're gonna have to have this. We turned to each other, looked at each other, and started praying, right? We started praying because we knew our faith was gonna carry us through.
Come on.
That's
Made it completely back from that, back to
God.
work now, and that went to get my 3-year anniversary checkup, and they said, Robert, your heart's great, but now you need a kidney transplant.
Wow.
And when I told them and I told my family, this is what's going on, you can't ask them, but hey, you got a kidney, I can have,
Right.
you can't.
Yeah.
So you bring it up, and my wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, and my sister, and a friend all volunteered.
Wow.
And my sister came to our house and said, sorry, Tammy, I'm gonna be the one that does it.
Wow.
I'm gonna be the
It's
one.
gonna be me.
It's gonna be me. It was weird, it was strange. She just was like, came to our house one day and said that, and we did blood work and whatnot, and we ended up being a match. And
Praise
right
God.
now, literally are in the middle, maybe just 3 to 4 weeks away from getting the transplant.
Wow.
Come on.
So,
Wow. Double
Yeah.
organ.
Okay, so in that time of your you just found out this news, you need a kidney, you find City Church, right? That's the timeline.
Yeah.
So we don't get the opportunity to be a first-time guest. So what was your experience like?
Well, I was introduced to City Church by a coworker.
Okay.
And I told him I was looking for church, and where did you go? And he told me he came to City Church, and where they located. So he told me, and he said, well, I'm gonna go next Sunday. So I just fell in love with our church. The warm, inviting, welcoming, the love and
Wow.
grace was just there at the moment as I walked in the door, and everybody shaking my hand, and loved the service. I went alone. My husband had to work, so I told my husband, we gotta go. I said, you gotta come to City Church and experience this wonderful church. I think you're gonna like it. So he came and fell in love with the church as well.
And from the moment that we walked through the doors and were greeted, and you could feel the real love that was here. You could feel the welcoming. You could feel that people were there, actually wanted to see you. They actually were glad to see you. And I told her, this feels pretty good, you know? It's all right. And then we heard Pastor that day. And as we were walking out that day, I told her, I think we found it. I think we found where we're supposed to be, right?
Wow.
So came back, we kept coming back, and then my medical issues, health issues, came up in prayer and whatnot, and then the support that was being offered from Pastor Katie. Can we bring you food? Can we bring you dinner? They wanted to come to the hospital, to the clinic when they're having all these things going on, laying hands on me. You have to know that people taking their time to put their hands on you and pray for you is powerful. It is so powerful. At that moment, at those times, we knew we're never leaving. We're never leaving. This is home.
I love that.
That is so cool.
And through all of this, it's easy to focus on the medical, and you've experienced miracles, and your life is a miracle. And I would be amiss if we didn't talk to you, Tammy, about your experience with all this. How do you stay so positive? You are the most positive person that
No
I
kidding.
know.
Thank you.
How do you find the strength? What do you do to one, be a support for Robert, but how have you been in all this too?
Yeah, your own personal journey.
Thank you. I'm very strong on faith and being in the Word. I sing a lot. I worship, praise every day. So I equip myself with the Lord's Word, empowers me, gives me strength that I can pass along to my husband to build him up. And I'm eager to come be in the body of Christ. I feel Christ's spirit, and empowers me when I leave just in the body of Christ as we have worship.
Wow.
I'm so empowered, and I'm re-energized for the week. And so the Holy Spirit refreshes my spirit, and then I can strengthen my husband and his faith, and make his stronger.
Wow.
And I'm learning not to stress and hinder, and put just a shield of the protection of Christ,
Right.
armor of God around me, and I just picture it around me, and not to enter me, but keep me strong and positive, because I know God has a plan. My husband, God has a plan, a mighty plan for your life and our lives together. So through Christ, He's a cure. He's the builder of our lives.
Yeah.
And He's going to guide us through and walk with us every day.
Yes.
And empower us, whatever He has before us, because we're winning.
Yeah.
We have Christ.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
We have
We win.
Christ.
Yeah.
We win.
Was there ever a moment where you in either of you, through the heart transplant or even now knowing the kidney transplant is coming, where fear tried to creep in? I knew it was coming, so you had to make a deliberate stand to defeat that fear.
We always said, God has a perfect plan.
Right.
God has a perfect plan, and it's going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. right? Things are
Right.
going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. And when we were waiting for my heart transplant, it was over a year. We're waiting, and you're waiting, and you start to wonder. And we were driving one day, her and my son and my daughter, the four of us, and we were talking about it. And it was as I said, and we got into it. She said, "It's going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. God has a plan." And I turned around and I told her, "Well, my love, what if it's God's plan for me not to get a heart?" And her and my daughter-in-law who was sitting in the back seat started bawling and crying and hugging each other. And I said, we just have to come to terms with that. If that's his plan, then that's his plan. And she never gets mad, and she never lashes out or anything. That day she did. Don't ever say that. Don't talk like that. He does have a plan, but the plan is they're going to be living. So never said that one again.
Come on.
But there was some emotion. But I'm going to tell you, when I was getting really sick towards the end, they wanted me to go live in the hospital because my heart was so bad. You start to wonder, and it creeps in a little bit.
Sure.
And then I got the call. One day, you need to get to the hospital. You have 4 hours. We have a heart. And all the way praying. And before I went in, my son was with me. She was flying down the freeway to get there. And my son was there with me. He took me. I said, pray with me. Pray with me before I go in.
Yeah.
Pray that when I open my eyes again, that I'm here, right here.
Wow.
And it was. And then she was there. And we knew then we're gonna beat this one too.
We're gonna be okay.
We're gonna be okay.
So let me ask a concluding question to both of you. For the wife that is battling for her husband, whether it's the actual physical or maybe it's a spiritual battle, trying just want her husband to fall in love with the Lord. If you had 2 minutes with this lady to try to bring her out of the spiral, what would your 2 minutes look like?
We have to equip our mind and sharpen our mind frame. Being equipped in the Word, I just positive.
So good.
Like I do with my husband, he feels down and weary, and I just pick him up with the Word, pray over him.
Yeah.
And we just have to keep those thoughts. Your kidneys are going to be healed and be washed inside out clean.
Yes.
And just those positive thoughts here reflect every cell in our
There you
body,
go.
I believe.
Amen.
You're right.
And
You're
so
right.
keeping those reinforcement
Yes.
thoughts, and don't go negative, because you just got to realign yourself
Yeah,
with
yeah.
something
With the
that's going
word.
to keep you straight on that journey.
Good. Yeah.
And I encourage those to know the Lord, get a Bible, seek Him, His Word. There's so much power. He's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
and
cool.
I just love Him.
Wow. That's a
love
good
him.
word.
And I love to share the love of the Lord with each other and our family.
Absolutely.
And I will pray with anybody who needs prayer. I'm a prayer warrior.
Okay.
So stay strong everyone. We can do it.
That's good.
God is a cure.
So Robert, we've heard your story. For the man that's going to listen to this, we believe will listen to it, that is wondering does it really matter if I am committed to a church? Does that really matter? What would you say to him?
Your church is your extended family. And you always need family. They need you, you need them. Be there for somebody that needs you. Be the one that puts that hand out, because guess what? In one time you're going to be the one that needs that hand up.
Yeah.
You need to have it, because in your lowest times, they're going to be there. They're going to be there to lift you up.
Right.
And your highest times are going to be there to praise with you, to rejoice with you.
Good.
This is life.
Well, thank you both for taking
You're
the time to
welcome,
share this
of course.
very cool journey that we get to just watch
Yeah.
and be observers for. So thank you so much. We're
Thank
honored
you.
that you would
Thank you
share your
so
story.
much.
Thank you
And
for
we're
having us.
excited to have you a part of the community of City Church.
Thank you for having us.
you.
Really appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Church.